queens and cryptids, and welcome to Queer and Loathing, the only podcast recommended by 9 out of 10 dentists. I'm your host, Brett Bodie, and with me, as always, are my co-hosts.
I'm Mel.
I'm Samantha.
And today, we're talking about the 1975 classic of maybe all classics, Steven Spielberg's Jaws. And I guess we'll start talking about our history with Jaws, with this amazing movie. Sam, would you like to go first?
Yeah, so this was another surprise for me because I realized I've never actually watched it before. I thought I had. I don't think it was. I don't think this was one of the ones that I was told on the school bus. I think it's just, we'll get into it, but it's everywhere and everyone knows it. And so I knew the plot. I'd seen a lot of clips. I know the music. So yeah, it was a nice first time watching it. Yeah.
That's kind of amazing.
So Mel, what about you?
I don't know if I watched this when I was younger. I don't remember watching it as a kid. So I feel lucky that I got to watch it for the first time as an adult and appreciate it for, I don't know, what it is beyond having that sort of like nostalgia kind of piece that I think a lot of the movies from my childhood have to it. Like I really just was able to come in and watch it as its own thing. So watching it for the podcast was, I think, my second time watching it that I like remember, which is kind of surprising for me because I watched so much stuff. Like it's not like I didn't watch it because it was too bloody or because it was too violent or upsetting.
It wasn't enough of those things for you to watch it as a child.
I mean, my guess is that it just is something that my parents didn't care about, so I didn't watch it much. Like maybe I'll ask my dad if he just like doesn't care about sharks or something. Because, you know, I watch like every sci-fi movie, like every like monster movie, things that very much align with Jaws.
Yeah.
Beyond the like literal thing that's menacing people. But I enjoyed watching it a second time. Brett?
Awesome. So this is one that I did watch as a kid, but not over and over. I think I watched it like once as a kid and I had to cover my eyes. I think it was the head in the boat, that like jump scare of like the decapitated head. I think I had to cover my eyes for that. Even though, you guys, this movie is rated PG. No. And one of the 4 notes that I took was, we used to be a real country. This is a PG, like, family blockbuster movie.
I mean, there are also other directors, I can't remember who, but I've, like, heard other directors complain that Steven Spielberg can get away with a lot in regarding the MPAA than like any other director can.
And I would say this movie is living proof because there's just like a severed leg that's just floating to the bottom and there's a decapitated head and a child gets him.
It's incredibly like violent.
Yeah.
I actually don't think this is a good movie for the whole family.
No, it's like, really not. I mean, I liked it as a kid. Like it wasn't, too traumatic for me, but it seems weird that it has that rating and that it was marketed as like family blockbuster. Yeah,
because like I think the ways in which this movie shines are ways that feel very, I don't know, like mature, not in a like triple X way, but mature in that it's like, the big Quint speech and like that so much of this is surrounding problems that adults have.
I had that kind of same thought while watching it this most recent time because I've maybe seen it like as a kid, one other time, and then this time. So this isn't one I've seen a million times. But yeah, watching it as an adult, I was like, I love the like interpersonal adult relationships. Like the 3 guys on the boat is like the best stuff ever.
Agreed.
And it's because of the very just like adult, almost just like character dynamics and conflicts and all that was lost on me as a kid because it was just like, when's the shark gonna pop up?
Yeah, so I'm actually happy I waited till I was an adult in my 30s.
When you were finally mature enough to handle this PG movie.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So that was misleading before, and I was waiting till the right time for me. Thank you.
And we found it. And we gave you that gift.
Yes, thank you.
Yes.
And like the things within Jaws that are, I think, have left the greatest impact on society or like the most famous scenes are things that I do think like stylistically make this movie as good as it is, but are not necessarily the things that I found most compelling when watching it. Like everyone knows like the trailer.
It is as if God created the devil and gave him jaws.
You know, and then like the shark coming up from below swimmers and the shark attacking the boat. And these are like great scenes. And I would say the suspense in the movie is like really well crafted.
Oh, yeah.
But it's those human scenes and the human conflict that I think is what sets this movie apart from other similar types of movies.
Yeah.
I like this movie, guys.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't know if you'll get any like Jaws hot takes here. I think my hot take was
It was good.
Right, Jaws is really, really fucking good.
I have like
This movie's awesome.
one, I wouldn't say a hot take, but I was thinking about it a lot while watching this movie because it's such a good movie. And I just kept thinking, is there any franchise, like any other franchise on the planet that shit the bed so quickly after its first movie? Like, I don't think there's another franchise that has just been as bad, as quick.
And going from such a high of like an amazing first movie.
I was just
Because I'm like, I mean, there are franchises that like shit the bed real fast, but I'm thinking like Children of the Corn, which no one is like, what a wonderful first film that, you know what I mean?
they're kind of trash the whole way through.
Exactly.
Like, Jaws went from like the first blockbuster
Yes.
historically.
Yes, it invented the term basically.
It invented like the summer blockbuster, and then immediately was just kind of pathetic and disliked generally by everybody.
Yes. Well, and it just, I mean, I get why they wanted a sequel, because obviously that's what studios do, is they want money. But it's like the whole point is like these characters in opposition to this shark. This shark that is especially large and especially smart. It's not even like it's just like a shark. The point is that like it's the like super shark. Like it's almost a supernatural threat in the sense that like our shark hunter expert character has never seen a shark do stuff like this one or be as strong or cunning. So when the shark gets blowed up at the end, like that's it.
How many
And like
how many other movies are there?
3 others. Yeah. In the 4th one, I guess the shark can roar like a lion and has a telepathic connection with Ellen Brody, the wife in this one.
Wait, but that one wasn't good.
Is that the one that Michael Caine was in? Because he famously said like,
My name is Michael Caine. I have never seen it, but by all accounts, it is terrible. However, I have seen the house it built, and it is terrific.
absolutely. That's why like I love that quote, because I just find it so funny.
Job's a job.
Yep. Oh, I'm not
paid.
going to hate him for taking a paycheck.
Yeah.
But yeah, Jaws 4, The Revenge. That's the title.
The Shark's Revenge? Okay.
Yeah, I think so. It's literally like trying to kill the Brody family. Like, and there's like a psychic link between the shark and the mom.
I just still don't get how this was not the most successful out of all of them, but yeah. Okay.
I'm sure in some ways it is. I've never seen it. I've neither seen Jaws 4 nor Michael Caine's House, so I can't comment.
I haven't seen any of the other Jaws movies, nor do I think I ever will. I'm not like a shark person.
I like some shark stuff. I like a shark exploitation movie.
Oh. I think this amount was enough for me.
Okay.
Like, I saw, I guess, arguably, or not arguably,
No,
like
I
the
think
best.
definitively
The best shark movie.
Yeah.
You haven't seen the last 45 minutes of the Meg 2.
But I have seen
not.
Cruel Jaws, the Italian ripoff of Jaws that steals shots from all of the Jaws movies and it steals shots from like other Italian ripoffs and also steals John Williams' score, not from Jaws, but from Star Wars.
Oh.
The boat is sailing out and it's literally the like triumphant like beginning like title crawl music from Star Wars. And I would definitely recommend Cruel Jaws to anyone who loves bad movies and a good time.
I would recommend the last 45 minutes of the Meg 2 to anyone who wants to see Jason Statham on a jet ski using a harpoon as a spear fighting a megalodon.
Sold. I do want to see that.
I guess I want to see both. Maybe.
But yeah, I watch all that trash. I'm like, 47 meters down 2? Yes, please. There's like mutated like underwater like Aztec sharks in that one
Oh.
with the girl from Yellow Jackets. And I'm like, this is cinema. This is what I want.
I like you said the girl from Yellow Jackets.
Yeah,
like
you know,
the
the one
entire
girl.
cast of
Yeah,
Yellow
no,
Jackets.
it's the girl from Yellow Jackets.
All women.
It's young Shauna from Yellow Jackets.
Oh, I
Love
like
her.
her. I like
yeah,
her.
me too.
After watching Jaws with my husband, he was talking about that movie where the like couple gets stranded while scuba diving.
Oh, I haven't seen that one. Open water.
Open water, and I had never seen it, but I looked up like the real life story, and I don't know why, but it just seems more fucked up to me that in real life, right, these people got left scuba diving and just disappeared and are presumed dead. And in the movie version, they kill both of the characters via shark. And I don't know why
Yeah.
that just seems like more fucked up to me.
I
is
agree.
to like
that's-
kill them off.
And that's why I haven't seen that one.
It just seems really distasteful.
Yeah, exactly.
In your fantasy version of it, at least like have them survive.
Yeah.
Or just don't do it.
Yeah. But nope, they sure did. Just like, but what if they got eaten by sharks?
And that's cinema, baby.
Well, it is cinema. Like, love it or leave it. I was gonna say love it or list it. Oh, no.
Are you guys, I guess, a slightly different question. Are you afraid of sharks?
Not particularly. Although I was reliving, because my friend showed me a video that I may play for you guys at the break and may edit some into the episode because it's so stupid.
God bless.
But about like when you're a kid and like you like can trick yourself into thinking like, but what if there was a shark in this swimming pool?
Yeah.
And I did do that as a kid. But I think it was more just like general like threat of like underwater threat and less shark specific. And like now I would like go in a shark cage. I would do like a shark dive thing. Not a cage like the one in this movie that's like it's like 2 feet. And yeah. Not that cage in particular, but they have some good ones that I would do. So I'd say yeah, not particularly.
Yeah, I would say yes and no. I am scared of sharks, but not more than I want to be in the water. So
the love for summer vibes is just too
no, it's
strong.
very strong. Like I did a school trip to Belize and we saw nursing sharks, which are not, I guess they don't fuck with humans. So, which is great. So that was cool. And I was happy I got to see them. And then I wanted to get out and that was great. So yes and no.
Yeah, what about you, Mel?
I don't like being submerged.
Oh,
So,
Sure.
yeah, I don't scuba dive. I'm not in danger of being left behind at a scuba diving event.
that's not how you're going out.
I don't.
But if you were to go out that way, would you want Redacted to sign away your life rights for that tasteless horror movie where you get eaten?
Depends on the house that he can buy with those rights. I don't know. Like there was something very funny in the movie Jaws to me. Not to bring it back to the movie that we're supposed to be
okay.
talking about.
Fine, yeah.
So there's a part of the movie where Brody and his wife are like arguing about the impact that this shark terrorizing people in the water is having like an effect on their family, right? And there's one point where they're both like in agreement that it would just be a horrible, unthinkable thought for these kids to be scared of getting in the water. Like, to me, it would just be really normal to be like, yeah, I was in the water or like near the water or like generally surrounding the water where a bunch of people got fucking eaten by a shark. And they're like, oh, it's unthinkable for us that our kids would be afraid to get in the water again. Like, there are people who are afraid to get in the water who've never been in those circumstances.
Never been within a stone's throw of someone getting eaten by a shark.
Well, that's what you're saying is there's like the psychic Jaws 4 whatever element because like Jaws is like one of the easiest monsters to avoid.
Yeah.
You just don't go in the water.
Right.
He can't get you unless I guess he psychically compels you into the water. I haven't seen Jaws 4.
Or if you work at, I think 3 is the 3D one. If you work at an underwater like research facility and then the shark rams the glass and then he's like eating you. Well, I mean, you are underwater, but like you're in a little enclosure. But the shark like rams the glass and then eats you that way.
There are
But you're still technically in the water. So.
dozens of people who go through life fully fulfilled and happy not getting into ocean water.
That's very true.
But it is unthinkable to this cast.
No, I'm with you. That is weird. Like, there
It
was
is
a
weird.
distinction of when I was little and unafraid and would just go in the water. And then I remember being like, well, shit, there's things in there.
Sharks.
Like, not
in the
just sharks,
water.
but there's stingrays.
There are.
But also sharks, yeah. So, no, you're right. I'm with you.
And just
That is
slimy
weird.
seaweed,
I think that's normal.
which is worse for me than sharks or stingrays. I don't like that slimy seaweed.
Or things that actually generally do kill people in real life, like
Yeah.
riptides and
Yeah.
undercurrents.
Well,
and
that-
I'm
that's
more
the-
and more scared of that.
Me too. That I would say that's the fear for me, like
Yes.
the ocean-related fear. It's
The-
like undercurrents and
number one thing in this country that kills children, correct me if I'm wrong. I don't know, I'm looking at
Are
you like
you-
you know. But like, isn't it kids drowning in pools? Like, isn't that the number one thing that kills like children in this country? Is like drowning? And the amount of times that this police officer and his wife have how old is their youngest kid? Like 4?
yeah, he's really also
He's just like
he
they
himself.
just send him off on his own to be by the
Right.
water.
But he himself, like the police chief, is afraid of the ocean.
But not.
No, he is.
No,
I mean,
no. But not so afraid that he won't let his little kid go hang out by
That's
the
good.
ocean
Well-
by himself.
Well, it's funny because okay, I do love that part real quick where he's like, "Don't take the boat out into the ocean. Go to the pond or whatever." And they're like, "Okay, like the estuary." And he's like, "That's for old ladies." And it's like, "Okay, but just do it for me." And they do, but also it's like that's still part of the ocean. Like it's
Right.
not even like because that is where the shark ends up being. So I'm like, so what? That wasn't really taking any precaution. Like I don't even get why that still connects to the ocean. Like you still had your young children frolicking in shark-infested waters.
Or even, bear with me, because I know that in this scenario, there are sharks in the waters.
Yes.
But if there were no sharks in that water, I could
Still
not
scared.
get over the fact that this,
Yeah.
like, 4-year-old is
Yeah.
left on his own.
Yeah.
They're like,
you're right.
oh,
Yeah.
he's by the pond. And it's like, with whom?
Right.
With
Who's
who?
watching him?
Never-
Is there a lifeguard at this pond?
Because, like, the older kid, I can get him being,
Yeah,
like,
and he's with his friends
on
and they
his
got a
own.
boat and yeah.
But then there's even a moment in the beginning where the like littlest boy is on a boat by himself at a dock, and the only person watching him is like a 10-year-old.
Yeah, you're right.
I don't know if drowning is the number one thing. I think it's entirely possible, but to your point, that is something I think about a lot about Redacted. Like,
Your child redacted.
my child redacted, my husband redacted.
Or Mel's husband redacted.
Yes, I'm worried about all our redacteds
Okay.
being near water from
Yeah.
just how they always have to, like, put their face in it. And after taking
Right.
redacted, I'll let you guess which redacted to the pool this morning. I'm like, yeah, they just want to jump in the pool. They do
Right.
not know. My redacted cannot swim yet. So, yeah.
So I looked it up,
hmm
and we've done it as a country.
Oh.
We have beaten out drowning and car accidents,
No.
and now it's firearms. We did it!
Oh, America!
We did it!
Oh my god, just in time for the 4th of July, bitch. Sorry, I clearly talk about kids being shot at too much
Oh
on
my
this
God.
podcast. These are I'm planting the seeds of my own cancellation now
gosh.
that will flower and bloom later on.
It's beautiful.
And they're like, he was always a psycho.
So let's talk about some of the most iconic parts of Jaws and how those parts of the movie, those most iconic pieces, have influenced society. So, Sam, I know you wanted to talk about the music.
We have to talk music because
Mhm.
number one, John Williams, and number two, it's fucking Jaws. Those two notes.
hmm One of just the most iconic film scores,
Yeah.
I think. Like, everyone knows the Jaws theme.
And
Just from pop culture, like, you don't even have to have seen the movie or even really know what it's from to know that's the score.
Exactly. I think that's part of why I convinced myself I'd seen this movie before, is because I feel like I knew the score really well.
Mhm.
And it still blows my mind how simple it is, but how effective it is. Just, you know, like you're just visually, you just see open water, you don't see the shark, but you just slowly hear those two notes getting louder and getting quicker, and you know it's on its way, and your heartbeat is going along with it. And it's just, I don't know.
Oh, yeah, because
It
as it
really-
accelerates, it raises
You are-
that tension. It goes from like, oh, it feels like the shark is somewhere out there. And as it increases in tempo, you're like, oh God, the shark could be behind me,
Right.
in the deep end of my swimming
think about
pool.
your feet.
Yeah, my little shark feet. I'm wearing shark socks. I'm aware that
cute.
the podcasts are an audio medium, but
Yeah, and I think that was mostly it that I wanted to talk about music, because I think we all know it, period.
yes.
And we all know what it represents, and we're all a little scared if we hear it.
Yeah, it's like this. It's like the Jaws theme and the theme from Psycho, like the shower scene theme, or just like the horror movie themes that have transcended horror into just like all pop culture.
And I think about it when I'm even in a pool. If I'm in the deep end, I am hearing those two notes
Oh yeah,
playing over and over because that shark's on its way.
I like the rest of the score too.
I was gonna say-
fleshed out beyond that. Like that actually is a great, effective score. I love it.
John Williams and Steven Spielberg are both so good at capturing a spirit of adventure through
Yes.
their mediums. Like when I was watching Jaws, I was just thinking of how stylish it is. Like the way it's shot, the way that the sound design, the
Mhm.
way that the score is used, like it was all so well done.
Oh yeah, that whole boat scene. Like there's like Quint like in almost like silhouette. There's that like this beautiful shot of him just like standing ominously like in silhouette, and there's like the ropes creaking and there's so much sound design of the boat, like whether it's getting battered or just like you hear the like water outside when it's at night. Yeah, the sound design is so effective, and the framing and the score, and they all combine to just be like make that last 45 minutes or hour, however long they're on the boat at the end. Because it's truly 3 men on a boat and there's a shark. And it is so thrilling and exciting and just like the best shit ever. Because we have just these masters of their crafts at the top of their game.
Clearly communicating and building this together. Like,
Oh,
it
yeah.
all comes together pretty seamlessly, it feels.
Yeah, well, this was like the birth of like modern blockbuster cinema.
It
Because
is.
this Jaws was the highest grossing movie of all time until it was surpassed by Star Wars 2 years later. Another John Williams collaboration. And then obviously Spielberg and Lucas were like collaborators. So yeah, that boys club, like Lucas, Spielberg, and Williams, like they really, like you can't really overstate their influence on modern film.
Oh yeah, we're not.
That's where it began, like late 70s. It's not hyperbole, like that's
That's
just
what I
like
say.
where
We're not being hyperbolic when we say it was the birth of like the summer popcorn blockbuster. Like it truly was the first of its kind, and that's why so many movies since have tried to emulate it.
Mhm.
Whether it's kind of like the basic mayor of the town won't listen to the scientists kind of thing, which has been done to death.
Oh yeah, that trope is used in everything.
Or the music themes, like these iconic influences that have been, I think, like sometimes used well by other movies.
Oh, yeah.
But it is one of the most iconic movies of all time, which is why I agree with Samantha. Like, even though neither of us remember watching it as kids, we knew the stuff that made it maybe not as great as it is, but we knew the stuff that made it as memorable.
Yeah.
Because, like, as an adult, that scene with the USS Indianapolis speech is, like,
Yeah.
to me, probably the most powerful part of the
Oh.
movie. But kids are not lining up to eat popcorn to listen to some old salty
To
sea
listen to
dog
Robert Shaw talk about the USS Indianapolis.
tell old war stories.
But I am.
But yes, as an adult, I actually am very into
Yes,
that.
me too.
So. Okay, so before we talk about some of the themes, do we want to take a quick little ad break?
Absolutely. This episode is brought to you by our sponsor, the Nile. It's truly just a river in Egypt and nothing else. Don't ever question the choices you make. For instance, whether or not to keep a beach open for tourist season. You don't need to. Not by the beautiful banks of Denial. Look, maybe there is a shark, maybe there isn't. What do you care? You're taking in millennia of culture and history as you cruise down one of the world's most iconic rivers. Look, a pyramid. Self-awareness is for lesser beings. It's unnecessary. Just stay strong in your most self-serving reactions. Your local economy needs you. You don't need introspection. when you're strolling along the gorgeous river called Denial. Use offer code Shark ate my foot for 20% off Shark Chum. There aren't any sharks in Denial. Wow, is that Cleopatra riding a hippo? We'll see you after the break. Welcome back, everyone. I hope you had a lovely break thinking about Denial, the river in Egypt. And it used our offer code to get some shark chum, or whatever it was that I said. That was the part, I meticulously scripted it, and then I left that blank. I was like, you'll come up with something funny in the moment, and then I didn't. But I did say something.
I will say that scene in Jaws where everyone is trying to get the bounty and they're all rushing to their boats, and there's just that one boat that's just dumping an insane amount of just blood into the water, and it's just chaos. There's people just throwing firecrackers, and it's
like, I guess firecrackers, but I was like, is that fucking dynamite? Like, what is happening?
Like, I was laughing so hard, and like,
when they're code names, because they're like Alpha 1, this is Clover. This is Honeydew. Like, all their like call signs were like very cutesy, as they're just like, do you see anything? It's
a bunch of just like island, or I guess beach people, drunk fishing dads that are like, I'm gonna go get this bounty.
Well, as you know, amity means friendship.
It does.
That's what the mayor says.
So let's talk about the mayor.
Let's shall.
So specifically, when Samantha had watched it, she said that authority was a major theme and that she wanted to talk about. So, and I watched it after she said that, and I was like, hot diggity damn, she's super right. So you go ahead and talk about it, and then I will.
For you to talk about it, because I saw it and was like, ooh, let's bring up this mayor because he's a POS. Because let's not have these people go into the water. I'm sorry.
Ooh, but it is a consistent theme throughout the entire story, because it continues on to like Quint and like him being the captain of the boat.
So that's what I wrote down, have that the mayor is the authority over the town and the authority over man. And that Hoopa, which is the only way to say that name, is the authority over science. And Brody is the authority over law and family.
Yeah.
And Quint is the authority over the water and his boat, more specifically.
The orca.
Yes, the orca, his boat. And then throughout the movie, each of these characters are struggling to maintain their authority. Some of them, like the mayor, is at the extreme detriment to many of his constituency.
But also, in a sense, like, he's kind of trying to like do right by them, because it's like, if this town literally could go bankrupt if they like don't get, you know, the tourism in. And so it's like, I don't side with him at all, but I'm just saying I can see where at least his inclination to try to sweep it under the rug comes from, because it's like, these people are already mad, like, close down the beach, like, even for a day. And like, I think apparently the location scouting for this movie, they ended up shooting most of it in this, I can't remember the town's name, but it's in Martha's Vineyard. And they picked it so that it would look believably kind of like lower middle class with nice beaches, where you can really feel like, a bad tourist season really could just like fuck up this town and like ruin all of these people's lives and like ruin the town's economy. And so I'm like, I kind of get it.
But also
like
everyone dying.
Right.
People continuously
dying. A child
dying.
got eaten.
The first death, I'm kind of sympathetic with the mayor, right?
Yeah.
You don't
know.
But
it's just the swimmer and just Chrissy.
And how much can a shark eat?
Good point.
You know, like they don't know it's a 25-footer, like man-eating great white.
Yeah.
Like so even if the first one was a shark, like, I think people have the right to know, but I understand the idea of, well, it's probably a freak
accident. And it typically
is.
Historically, like, that is how sharks, like, you're not going to like this movie depicts like a cluster of shark attacks, but that's not what happens in real life. You'll get isolated sort of one-off incidents because humans aren't sharks' preferred food. They'll take an exploratory nibble, but we're not the tastiest. They've got other options in the convenience store aisles of the ocean.
Yeah. I thought about that a lot when it's the shark just going after the orca over and over and over again. I'm like, is there not other shit to eat, bro?
No.
He's just hateful like that.
I think that was the thing, and that's why the shark almost reads as like a supernatural threat to me, because it is just hateful. I think the shark like knows that they're out there to kill it.
Feel free to cut this. But maybe Quint had that blood.
Oh, that good
the
blood?
Bella to the shark's Edward.
Oh.
I'm just saying.
My own personal brand of heroin.
Oh, maybe.
Because he was fully dedicated. So.
Yeah, we were really into like Moby Dick territory with
Quint.
that shark and with Quint, yeah.
Sorry, I just derailed us.
No, I actually love the idea that Quint had that good blood. But just for that specific shark, because he survived the Indianapolis. He was one of the survivors who wasn't eaten by those sharks.
It reminds me more of not that your fanfic.
Yeah, this is the yes and. We're not making you wrong.
Not that your fanfic is wrong or any less valid. I was thinking that there's kind of that similarity to, based on a true story, The Ghost in the Darkness. I don't know it. It's a movie with what's his name? Val Kilmer and Michael Douglas.
Oh.
And they're facing off against man-eating lions. The Ghost in the Darkness. These are real lions from real life. But they were like freakish in the sense that they just loved killing people.
I know the story that you're talking about that it was based on.
Yes.
Yeah, they were like these like predator, like literally like evil lions in real life, yeah.
Like unexplained, they just like really wanted to kill people and not even to eat them, just to like murder humans.
That's what this shark, yes, I think that is an apt comparison because that's what this shark in Jaws seems to me.
Yeah.
Like it just actually is like this hateful, super intelligent, super large shark that just wants to eat people and like cause terror, basically.
Yeah. And you know what?
Good for him.
You know what?
Yeah, they hate to see a girl boss winning, but Bruce the shark has my heart.
But yeah, that was
Yeah, yes.
I'm doing great, y'all.
Yeah.
I'm keeping all of this in.
Whatever. But that authority theme is kind of the biggest theme that I saw in the movie is, yes, the mayor is trying to keep the town alive through its tourist season.
And that is true of places that have tourism-based economy. Like, it's all about those few months. Mm-hmm. And that's where you make all your money for the year. And if, like, that season is a flop for you, then, like, you can lose your business. It actually is very important to have that. So, I don't side with the mayor, but I definitely... I get his dilemma. Yeah. Like, he is trying to do right by people, even though there are lives at stake in other ways.
So I think we're agreed on the first shark murder, shark kill was, okay, maybe don't close the beach, but everyone should know.
Yes.
And then from there, like, yeah, you got to close it because...
Right. Well, also it's like, and you got to deal with it now because, like, if you could close the beach for a day, get parties together to, like, call in the Coast Guard, like, kill the shark, and then you're good the rest of the summer. Like, just dealing with it up front would be the next most logical thing to do. But the denial is what... Because there's a lot of denial.
Oh, is that why you did
There's a lot of the river Nile. Is that a crocodile?
Stop.
Is that King Tut? A crocodile?
Oh, no.
No, keep
Look
going.
out.
It's great. But there's other moments of, like, them flexing their authority on each other.
Mm-hmm. And people bristling under each other's authority. Right,
because the mayor also is kind of the authority of the locals over the people who come for the summer. He doesn't want to alienate the mayor. He doesn't want to alienate the people that he wants to ingratiate himself with.
And this is his first summer as police chief.
He is not a local, which is a big deal with these little tourism towns.
Yes.
There are in-groups and out-groups.
He's already in a very precarious position. He
could lose this opportunity and have to figure out something else.
And he gets undermined because the coroner is like, was looking at Chrissy's body and is like, oh, well, this is not a boating accident. This is a shark bite. And then the mayor and his like gang of whatever it was, like town council members.
A clown
Were they
car
like-
of old white men.
Yes. I know.
They just
On,
like
a
show
ferry.
up.
Yeah.
They show up for this like ferry boat.
They park in the middle of this tiny little ferry and just like surround him, and they're like, so actually it was a boating accident.
It's such a good scene.
It really is, but it was so funny. There's so many people in that car.
Yeah, and then they're all just like on this little floating platform to be like, actually, you don't have authority. We have the authority as the like people who know this place better than you.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's a moment, I think it's after Hoopa has been telling Brody, like, I don't think that was the shark. Like, this is
The bite radius is all wrong.
Yeah, this isn't
Because they catch a shark and like
right, but it's like too small.
And I cringe every time because Brody is like in the photo with the shark.
Yes.
And it's just the most like George W. Bush mission accomplished like ass moment in the world.
We got him.
Yeah.
But he has this moment of realization where he's like, we can go cut open that shark. Like, I'm the police chief. I can do what I want. And he starts flexing that power.
Yes, that's true.
And then, of course, there's Quint is a very odd man. Salty sea dog.
The professional shark hunter who lives in a town that's never had a shark attack. No wonder he's hurting for cash. Sir, your business model is bad.
He sees everyone like on the beach, like terrified and screaming, and he's just like driving his boat back and forth, like cackling.
Yes.
Like a lunatic.
Like drunk off his ass. Or maybe he's just drinking paint thinner. That was, based on Brody's reaction when he takes a sip, I was like, I don't think anyone should be drinking that.
Yeah, his like moonshine that he makes like on his boat.
Right.
He's the only one with the tolerance, so
Yeah.
just for him.
I guess so. But yeah, so he's like, oh, and he interrupts the town council meeting by like running his nails down the chalkboard.
I was like
Got my
thinking,
attention.
Yep.
like if someone did that and I was in the room with them, I would not be able to take seriously that person ever again in my life. I'd be like, that's
Yeah.
such psycho behavior
Yeah.
to make a noise that horrible. And then he just says, which I would say is one of the iconic things that has come out of this movie, is he gives like that crazy speech like about how he's like such a badass.
Yes.
And I just think of from a not as good movie, but I do love, is Club Dead. Have you seen that movie?
No.
It's like the people who did Super Troopers, they did a horror movie, and there's a character that's basically like Quint.
Okay.
And he gives this big speech and then like immediately gets killed.
Which,
But like that character of Quint, I think, has been replicated so many times in movies because he's so great. Like he's such
so
a weird
great.
character, but he's also
so memorable.
not unrealistic.
I was
Mhm.
about to say, I think we all kind of know someone like, or
like,
have
encountered.
experienced someone not at that level, but
No,
like,
Samantha, you're the Quint in this group.
Wow. Over what? I'm not that passionate about anything, so tell me. I want to know. Okay.
We'll save it for when we're off the air.
Okay, gotcha. Thank you.
It's interesting the way that people like bristle under each other's authority. Like, I do love after Brody's children are like not quite attacked by the shark directly, but like they're right where the shark attack is happening, like in that little estuary or whatever. And the kid's in shock, so he has to go to the hospital. And then he's like talking to his wife, Ellen. He's like, can you take like can you take our younger son home? And she goes, home to New York? And he's like, oh, no, just here on the island. But it's like, it's so subtle because she's not having this big confrontation at the hospital, but it's so clear the way she says it that you brought us here, like these are your decisions, and now like our children are in trouble. And I just really liked that because even though she's like playing the role of sort of like supportive wife, she still gets her little dig in of like well, this
That's
is
right.
your fault, basically. Or authority really, it comes to such a climactic head, that whole theme on the boat where like Brody wants to call for help
Right.
And that is like the craziest shit ever because like he tries multiple times and Quint will like distract him and be like, I need you to go lash the mizzen mast to the dingle hopper. And he's like, okay. And then when they're in full crisis and the boat has been like kind of splintered and is taking on water, and Brody's trying to radio for help and Quint just brings it, what is it, a baseball bat or an axe or whatever?
He just like busts it.
Smashes the radio
Again,
to pieces.
Psycho shit behavior.
That is like the biggest psycho shit behavior, I think.
Like
when he smashes the radio.
Like they already know the stakes. The boat is fucked.
Right.
They need the Coast Guard.
Yes. But he has to be the one. Like, that is his domain. That is where he has the authority. It's like his ship and his ocean and his nemesis at this point. And he's like, I'm going to be the one to take out the shark. And he pays the price. And really everyone kind of pays a price for how they exert their authority. Like, the town does get kind of fucked over by the mayor's decisions, obviously. Like, Quint gets fucked over by his own decisions because he gets eated.
I'm assuming that mayor, I mean, I have not seen Jaws 2, but I'm assuming that mayor is like gonna lose his next election. Like he fucked up.
He really, really fucked up.
Yeah.
I don't know. Crazier shit's happened. So
well, that's a good point.
Knows?
But going back to Brody and his family drama, he is kind of the worst. Like I was getting really annoyed with him. He still is like letting his kids go into the water. I mean, he tells his older son, like, promise me you won't go out there. But like the other one is just, I guess, free range, feral child. And it's like, dude, this is your fault. Like,
right.
Again, and
like,
maybe
you could protect at least your own children. Maybe you lack the authority to unilaterally close the beaches, but you could keep your kids home for the day.
Yep.
Or even you just keep them on the beach.
Right. Just
Like-
don't go in the water. Shark in the water.
You could literally just be like a parent and be like, guys, we're going to enjoy a day at the beach, but we're not going to go in the water until daddy is sure that the shark that literally killed like an 8-year-old boy 2 days before
Right.
is actually dead.
Yeah.
And instead he's like, I think I'm just going to like be nervous over here and like kind of rude to people.
Yeah, and like he is on the clock, like he is working, but yeah, he could have done a lot more. But also I'm like, where is Ellen Brody? She's not on the clock.
You know what? She's taking care of all the stuff he's not taking care of. So
Well, that is true.
She's captain of the family ship. So
yeah,
but those things do not include their children. So
Nope.
yeah,
Nope,
no.
they don't.
Important stuff, not
They do
trivial
not.
like kids. We're talking household
hold that
chores.
house.
You gotta hold the house.
Hold that house.
in your warm embrace
That's right.
of Amity.
I don't know how anyone survived the 70s.
Not well. All the leaded gasoline fumes.
Just
That
Went
gave
to-
us so many more serial killers too.
they
Yeah.
just whispered into your brain, go into the water. Don't worry, it's safe. Just all the gasoline fumes baking
Yeah.
your brain, being like, go in.
I'm excited to see what the microplastics start whispering to us to do. Because we don't have the lead and the gasoline anymore, but we've got new toxic threats
Get
to our
in
brains.
the spaceship. Go to outer space. I don't know. What's next?
Yeah, maybe. What if there's a space shark?
What if there's a space shark?
There could be. I'm just saying we don't know. We
I'm
can't know.
assuming on Tubi there are many space sharks.
I'm sure there are. And I will watch them one day.
What are some other things we love about this movie? Because I feel like I have to mention the practical effects.
Yeah.
For the 70s,
And which were almost
Pretty
or
amazing.
I guess, and was also a shit show and like tripled the budget because
Yes.
the sharks kept
Oh.
malfunctioning and they were supposed to be shown a lot more. You were supposed to see a lot more of the shark originally, but what
I
you
think it
see
works,
looks
yeah.
great. So like I think it ended up a happy accident, like it ended up perfectly. Because when you do see the shark, like that amazing shot that I love, that is so famous because it leads into we're gonna need a bigger boat. But when Brody's just kind of like
Chumming.
slinging chum over his shoulder and not really looking, and then Bruce is just like right there, like huge, this giant shark, and then Roy Scheider, who plays Brody, I think his reaction is so funny because the way he just like stands up and just like stiffly like walks over to Quint to just be like, we need a bigger boat. He's not even like, help! There's a giant fucking shark and it was 3 feet away from me. He's just like, we need a bigger boat, I think. Yeah? Can we agree?
I also like how believable it is that Quint can look at a shark and know exactly how many feet long it is. I don't think there's like a single thing in my life where I could look at it and be like, yes, that's a 5-foot couch.
No.
If I've ever seen one.
I also think about that I cannot do that.
I wouldn't be able to tell you shit. If I saw a shark, I'd be like, that's a biggin.
Yeah.
Like, there's no...
Yes. No, me too. It's just funny that the shark to you is a couch, like, in your domain.
That's my authority.
Your authority, yeah.
My authority over the living room. But I was watching this on Blu-ray, although my husband has been making fun of me because I guess I have like a Trumpism earworm where I always like say, "Oh, my beautiful Blu-rays." And he's like, you describe every Blu-ray as a beautiful.
Well, am I wrong?
They're my handsome generals. But I was like, actually, I do have terrible Blu-rays. Thank you. I have Lichen Colony on Blu-ray, and that looks like shit.
You probably wouldn't call that a beautiful Blu-ray.
But this was a beautiful Blu-ray.
I'm sure it is.
It looked amazing. There were a couple shots where you could really see the animatronic like nature of the shark head, where it was like a little goofy when it's like chomping up the boat.
Sure.
But I'm still in so much awe of that animatronic that it doesn't enter like goofy territory.
I agree, because it still is so effective, and just having something real there,
makes
like the jaw is moving. Yeah, it does makes a huge difference. It makes the threat feel so tangible. No, I mean, granted, I had to watch some of this movie on my phone while I was stuck on an airplane for like 5 hours.
I mean, as Martin Scorsese and David Lynch would agree.
I was going to say, don't tell David Lynch, because he's going to take me out back and shoot me in the head.
Now, if you're playing the movie on a telephone, you will never in a trillion years experience the film. You'll think you have experienced it, but you'll be cheated. It's such a sadness that you think you've seen a film on your fucking telephone. Get real.
Look, desperate times call for desperate measures. Maybe David Lynch would understand. He wouldn't understand. He wouldn't.
No.
He'd be so mad.
Total fucking bullshit.
He'd be like, you think you've seen a film because you watched it on your fucking phone?
I don't blame him.
I don't either. I think he's right, but...
And even watching this movie, it kind of made me sad in the sense that they just don't really make movies like this anymore. Because even those big summer blockbusters, it's like actors are in front of a green screen talking to a ping pong ball that's hanging from the ceiling. And I do think that there are amazing movies where the CGI and green screens have been used in such a way that, like, despite that, it feels real.
Yes.
But that sort of, like, energy of you can tell these people are all on set together and that big fucking shark is there.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. Like, it made me a little sad.
Well, and this was, like, unheard of before. And I think, again, now, in that this was, like, I think the first movie that was made, like, out in, like, open ocean. They just don't do that. Like, that's not how movies are ever made. Even insane people like James Cameron will, like, have a big, like, you know, tank that you film in. And the fact that they were just, like, out in the ocean, like, actually on a boat filming this is insane. And no wonder the production costs ballooned. Because, like, you've got these very involved, expensive animatronics that keep malfunctioning, and you're just like...
You're putting them underwater.
Yes, right. They have to be underwater. And you have to film underwater. And I guess they had to invent, like, special cameras to get those shots of, like, the swimmers from underwater, which those are some really good-looking shots.
Yes. I was going to say that was one of my favorite parts, is just the creepy legs shot, you know?
Yeah.
That sounds... Don't quote me. But yes.
Too late. You've been quoted.
Creepy legs shot. Yeah, I thought it was incredible and creepy and perfect.
Yeah, and I love how, like, it's shot where it's like shark POV, but you don't know if the shark is actually there.
Right.
It's just that it could be there. And even you as, like, the audience, you're like, oh God, is this, like, the shark, like, you're about to eat these people? But in that scene, it wasn't, or at least in one of them, because that was when then you see the fin, and they panic and run onto the beach, and then it was just some kids with, like, a cardboard fin. but the shark was somewhere else. So like that POV shot was not even the actual shark POV, but it established that threat so well in the paranoia.
There's something very scary about looking out over the open ocean and not knowing what is immediately under that surface, but even further down. I mean, there is a reason why so much horror does take place in the ocean's depths, because there's so much unknown. There's so much that's a threat.
Right, and if you've seen any documentary or anything about the ocean, or especially like deep sea creatures, like bottom of the Mariana Trench type of stuff, like it's horrific to look at. Like it's the scariest shit ever, and it's like we have aliens living right here on our own planet. They're just underwater.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, they're not necessarily a threat to humans, but like they sure look like it, or at least they trigger that like part of our like reptile brains. It's just like, oh, that's scary and bad, and I don't like it. Like that blobfish.
Yeah.
I was
Looks
thinking
like Ted Cruz.
the Vampiroteuthis. It's like it was in like the Planet Earth, the original Planet Earth deep sea one.
Okay.
And it's like a fucking weird squid that has like teeth looking ass shit. And it looks like something from like The Mist.
Yeah. There's lots of crazy shit like that.
And even like David Attenborough's like, from the depths of hell comes the Vampiroteuthis.
I mean,
it's like, bro, I don't know if you should say that to me while, everyone watching this is stoned.
That's true.
Like,
you need to know your audience.
Like, this is Planet Earth, sir. In like 2010. Like, you need to chill with that shit.
No, ramp it up, if anything. What are some other favorite moments and scenes? Well, I think my favorite, and you guys may agree, is like the nighttime getting drunk scene on the boat. The three of them, where they're comparing their injuries and bonding and like singing, and then he has that amazing monologue about the USS Indianapolis, which is a true story that really did happen, and I learned a lot about it listening to the last podcast on the left.
Yeah, me too.
I think it was a 2-part episode. Yeah, highly recommend that if you want to know more about the Indianapolis, because that is just the scariest, most nightmarish thing that I can imagine. Just like floating in the open ocean for days, it's like people around you just are getting eaten. And there's nothing you can do. The government doesn't even know you're there. That is just so scary to me. So I get why Quint is like a little fucked in the head.
But at least they got that bomb there to do war crimes.
They did.
It's a happy story after all.
You're right. It did have a very happy ending.
I would say
when he bombed the fuck out of civilians.
I know, that's why I'm too like, I don't know, like politics pilled. Because like listening to his speech, I'm like, it's like instant karma, isn't it, Quinn?
Mel, they were just following orders.
That's true. But so were those sharks.
From their shark general.
Yes.
So Bruce was the mastermind of the U.S.
That's why he
puppet master, and that's why
that's why he wanted Quinn.
Wow.
For all we know, that is like the plot of one of the other Jaws movies, and we just
It very much could be. I mean, I have the novel here. I bought it at the airport yesterday and read one page of it. So I could not tell you. Apparently it's very different from the movie. I guess the novel has a bunch of subplots that didn't make it in, like an adultery subplot between Ellen Brody and Hooper, I think.
Oh.
Right? It's something weird like that. Also, apparently, they were rewriting scenes for this movie the night before shooting them constantly. Like, this movie was literally, like, made and written on the fly, which just makes it all the more amazing that it is so good.
Like that.
No, it feels, like, very tightly constructed, but it is, but just kind of by almost like happenstance.
Spielberg was like 28.
He was like 25. It's something crazy. Like
he's just so. It's like, despite myself and like how pretentious I want to be, I just like have to admit that Steven Spielberg is so fucking good at like making movies that capture a sort of vibe and also are just so like stylishly impressive.
Absolutely.
Like I wouldn't say I like a lot of his more recent movies, but his early stuff,
my own personal brand of heroin.
It's so fucking good.
Second to none, honestly, like in his lane, like no one, and many have tried. Many have tried and failed to capture even a glimpse of that like Spielberg sort of family movie adventure magic. And no one's even really come close. Like there's never a next Spielberg. And maybe there never will be.
I mean, I also just don't think, not to go back to my rantings about like entire types of movies that are just gone, but I just don't think this kind of movie is a thing anymore, right? Because I was even thinking like while watching Jaws, I'm like, man, if they made this today, one, you would not have this long speech in the middle of the movie.
Yeah.
Like if this was made today, it would have Joss Whedon-esque quips everywhere.
Yeah.
It would be a flattened out adventure comedy. You know, you wouldn't have any of the themes and the real like character moments that make the movie good.
You're right.
And I may just be a little bit too cynical about the state of the modern blockbuster, but it just feels like this kind of thing doesn't get made anymore.
Well, and I think one of my first reactions was not relief, but I don't know, it was nice settling into this movie because I feel like we get bombarded with so much, like we have to keep people entertained at every single moment. Like, you know, it's an action movie, so we have to have explosions all the time. And it's not that I don't necessarily like that, but I feel like I could actually like sit in this movie and enjoy it. And yeah, it was a little scary, but like, you know, there was substance, I think, is more of it. It wasn't relying on flashy stuff. It just was quality.
Right. And I would say that it takes its time
Yeah.
while not being slow.
Yeah.
I wouldn't call Jaws a slow-paced movie. Like, there's plenty of shark attacks. There's plenty of character conflict. Like, there's always something happening. But it gives all these things room to breathe.
Yeah.
And I really appreciate that. Some 70s movies can tend to feel slow by our modern standards. But this didn't really feel that way to me.
Refreshing was the word I was looking for. Is it kind of, even though it's an older movie, I mean, 70s, it still felt refreshing seeing it now.
I agree.
I'm sure that if you had any 20-year-old watch this, they'd say it was extremely boring, but their brains have been like fundamentally altered and
if they've
turned
got TikTok brain, then
to mush.
Yeah,
like the ability to just sit and like watch something that's slower paced is not something a lot of people can do anymore. So
that's true. And for me, I mean, I'm that person who does like really slower paced stuff sometimes, but it's got to be really good. If it's not like amazing and it's really slow, then like I'm probably not that into it or wouldn't revisit it.
I can do boring. I can't do dull. I don't know. And I mean, this movie's neither. But
no, this movie's very exciting.
Yeah.
I was like squirming in my seat at parts of this movie, and obviously I've seen it and I know everything that happens in it. But there were certain moments where I'm like, oh, look out. Like, oh my God. Or like when Hooper is like pinned by the rope. You know what I'm talking about? When he's like, his legs are trapped. I'm like, oh my God, look out. Like, that's so dangerous.
It feels very similar to me to like Halloween.
Yeah.
There's like a mysterious killer that could be anywhere. And it just hates you and wants you to die.
Wants to kill you and your family and
Loomis is Quint, I guess.
And scare you first. Yes. Yeah, Loomis is very much the Quint archetype.
Yeah.
He's got the past experience with
It's been made a little bit crazy by the threat. Takes it all a little too personally.
Yes. And I get their monologues confused because they both talk about like they've got the darkest evil eyes. And I was like, who's the one who says doll's eyes? Is that Quint? And it is Quint.
It's Quint.
But sometimes I think it's Loomis because they both talk about like the eyes of the threat and how they're just black and evil. And I get those. I realized I've been getting those mixed up for years.
Well, I would much rather face off against Jaws instead of Michael Myers because I can just not go in the water.
Be on land.
That's true. Or like when like an explosion engulfs the shark is dead. And in the sequel, there's a different shark. But Michael can be in an explosion, and then he's fine. Just give him a year. He just needs it to be October, and then he's ready to go again.
I think we can go into, is it gay?
Yeah. Is it gay? How gay is it? Tell me.
For a movie that is predominantly dudes being bros,
That's exactly the thought that came to mind. I was like, man, it's really just dudes being dudes, isn't it?
Dudes rock on a boat.
Yep.
I don't know. Not super gay to me.
No, me neither. Like, really
Wow.
not at all.
Not Bruce and Quint.
You
No.
can think this movie is gay. You don't have
Okay.
to agree with us. You
Okay.
can do your fanfic.
It'll be 4 buckets of chum out of 5.
Oh, all right. That's pretty gay.
Thank you.
Me, I'm like 1 severed limb out of like 10.
Oh.
I don't think it's gay at all, really.
Yeah, I'm going to give it like a 1 out of 10. I don't have a clever thing.
I mean, neither
Wow,
did we.
I just came up with my clever thing.
And now, what is the loathing of it all? Anything in the movie or about your experience of watching it that brought out feelings of loathitude?
Maybe just like being subjected for years and years in my childhood to like shitty commercials that used the theme
Oh.
and like aped the movie in ways that were overdone and annoying, especially by like 20 years later. But that's
Yeah.
not Jaws' fault.
No,
That's capitalism's fault.
it is. Yeah, I actually think I agree with you. It's like how oversaturated pop culture became with Jaws references that it doesn't really even retroactively cheapen the original movie, but it just makes you like, are we still doing this? Are we still doing just like, oh, we know it's a fake out because we're hearing like Jaws-like theme and there's something in the water and then it's nothing.
And I think that's why it took me so long to watch this movie as an adult, is I think I just thought, well, I know it. It's just,
Right.
there's a
Yeah.
shark in the water and it's eating people. Like, what
Right.
more could there be to the movie?
Yeah.
And I'm wrong, like,
Yes.
in that. Because there is so much more to the movie.
Oh, I have one. That's something I loathe,
Oh.
is that Robert Shaw, who played Quint in the movie, was like 45 at the time of filming. He died at 51.
Yeah.
He is the oldest 45-year-old in
Yeah.
the world. He looks like 60 at least.
Well, that's the 70s.
Yeah.
I love watching movies from the 70s.
He also had 10 children when he died at
Oh.
51. I looked at his
Okay.
Wikipedia yesterday.
Get it, girl.
Yes.
No, like, I love watching movies from the 70s and being like, how old is this person?
Right, like I'll see something with
Yeah.
like Gene Hackman and I'm like, he's got to be like 45. Like he's like balding and looks and he's like 25.
Yeah. They're like our age
Yeah.
and they just look like absolute shit and makes me
Yes.
feel great.
Me too. I agree.
That leaded gasoline in the air, watching all those people on the beach in Jaws that are like white people who have just like rubbed oil on themselves and have a reflector just baking their
yeah.
skin. No one had a
Get a nice
skincare.
broil.
No one had a skincare routine.
No, so the skincare routine was cigarettes.
Yeah, and then cigarettes. And on so
I'm
those
like, the skincare routine was the oil in the sun.
Yeah,
That was
you're
the
right.
routine.
They had no shortage of vitamin D though.
Which is
I'll
a
tell you
bad-
that. What was it?
What did
Sam
I
was,
loathe?
Yeah, what did you loathe?
Okay, so loathe the mayor, but love and respect how, you know, he had a gaggle of guys who, you know, looked up to him and wanted to intimidate. What's his
Yeah,
name?
his little posse.
Yeah, his little posse. So
his pussy posse.
His
whoa,
pussy posse.
maybe.
And then that's it. I don't know. Who else has something to say about this shark movie?
I don't know if I have anything to say except like if for some reason you've not watched this movie because you think you know it or just like it doesn't sound like something that would appeal to you, do yourself a favor and check it out because it really is so good and entertaining and such a quality film that is still exciting and interesting and funny. It had some really funny moments too. I don't remember some of the specifics except just kind of minor reaction timing things.
It didn't need annoying, quippy dialogue to bring humor
Yes,
to it.
It didn't need its Joss Whedon moments.
it sure didn't.
No.
But I would say of the movies we've watched, this would be number 1 or at least top 3 I'd
Okay.
recommend so far. I mean, obviously Tremors. I'm sorry, Tremors number 1, and then.
But of the new to you movies, maybe.
Oh, of the new to me, yes.
Mhm.
I'd say this one. Yeah, I really enjoyed it.
Good. Yeah, I love this movie. And another thing I loathed was that like a year ago, I had a ticket to see like a re-release in IMAX of this movie. And I drove out to the theater. It was like a 30-minute drive, like during like a storm. And I got there and they were like, oh, it's been canceled.
Oh no.
Like, and so I just got a refund, but they didn't even reschedule. So I never got to see. I was trying to see it in IMAX, and to go from trying to see it in IMAX to watching it on my phone.
Same
on a plane.
experience.
Total fucking bullshit.
Same experience.
I was truly sitting there like, how the mighty have fallen. I have fallen so far, so fast.
You tried.
So I have kind of a, I don't know, maybe a shitty, spicy thing. So we were watching this and I had a thought and I was like, when are we going to make Samantha watch an actually scary movie? Because none of these movies have been scary.
True.
Well, I mean, like, Jaws is suspenseful. Alien is scary, but you've seen it so many times. Like, you know where the beats are. And I'm like, we haven't, I don't know if it's been on purpose or not. Or maybe you
Y'all
guys
were
are
really
just,
nice to me.
I think maybe it's also just
Rip
like
that
I've
Band-Aid off.
selfishly just keep picking monster movies because that's
Oh, yeah,
like
I
my
guess we have done a
thing.
lot.
So I've been eating well, so I'm not complaining.
Yeah.
You know what? I've been having a good time, so time to scare the shit out of me, I guess.
I say eventually we're gonna need to cross into some like really scary movies.
Brett, do you just want to rip it off and just do like The Ring or something?
Samantha's hiding in her shirt, just thinking of The Ring.
The terrors of the PG-13 film, The Ring.
Is it PG-13?
Yes. It is very scary, though, to be fair. That's one where I would always be like, people being like, PG-13 horror is toothless and whatever. And I'm like, not necessarily.
Being able to scare people is a craft, and it is not something only rated R movies can do. I mean, I think we've talked before about how many PG movies scared us,
Yeah.
even as kids. And again, like,
I mean, I'll talk about Jaws and Poltergeist, and we have a whole episode about, like, childhood.
I mean, there are scary things in
stuff.
Jaws. There are scary things in Poltergeist. But there are movies that are just, like, the whole movie is just crafted to be, whether it's, like, jump scares. And we've done movies on the podcast that have some of those elements. Like, I'd say The First Omen has
That's
that
the one I was going to say, where I was like, First Omen was maybe the closest to kind of like modern.
It has one
wasn't
jump scare.
Yeah, it wasn't so scary, but that was,
Or even, again, like, I think Alien is scary, but it's just so old and part of our,
yes.
memory that it doesn't have that same sort of, like, lasting nightmare impact. So we don't have to do it.
Let's just do it. Let's just do it. Let's just do it. Let's just.
We'll do it later because it's very much not a summer vibes kind of movie.
It's a fall movie.
It is an autumn vibes movie.
Okay, well, whatever scary
I
thing
think
you want me to do, let's do it.
I think the month of October is going to be
Bring an
really.
extra large shirt so you can hide in it.
The month of October will be testing how far we can push Samantha with like
Ooh.
really scary movies.
I like that idea.
But for now, we can enjoy our summer vibes.
Yes, and if anyone listening has any recommendations of scariest movies that you'd like us to cover to truly traumatize our dear friend Sam, you can send them to our Gmail, queerandloathingpod@gmail.com. And
I
that's
have
A-N-D. Go on.
I have seen the platform, so don't do that one.
That's
That was
not a scary movie.
Okay.
No, we're gonna
That's a
do.
scary movie, you shit, you piece of bitch. You don't know anything.
I mean, a really scary movie, not ones that like make you uncomfortable and feel a little sick. Like, we're gonna do an actually scary movie. And to the people listening at home who write us in, don't do like Human Centipede 2. That's not scary. That's just
Right.
gross.
Yes.
We're not doing a bunch of gross out movies. That's like my thing I don't want to do, but I'm sure we'll have to do it eventually.
We'll probably do some, but we don't.
We're not doing Human Centipede 2. It's not happening. We're not doing
Fine.
that.
That'll be my bonus
Brett
episode.
can do a bonus content for that one.
I watch all that shit, so.
But like the scariest movies.
Yeah, but if you have recommendations, yeah,
We'll
send
hear
them
that.
to our Gmail. And then you can follow us on Instagram,
At Queer and Loathing Pod.
again, A-N-D.
We have letterboxes, but you can just find them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fuck you.
So, yeah, fuck you guys. You don't know what you're missing.
I believe it was 666 Satan 666. So.
Well, you could follow
misinformation
that
spread.
person too.
Yes.
All
I
right.
think that's actually Satan's official letterboxd account.
Well, good.
Yeah, so I guess that about does it for this episode.
All right. Well, with that said, I'm queer.
I'm Loathing.
And I'm Samantha.
Stay out of the water.
Bye.